Hi everyone. How are you doing? I hope everyone is preparing for the holidays. I know I'm preparing and planning for the end of this year activities and planning to start a new year. Um, I'm curious to know where you all from. So can you please share in the chat where you all from? I'm from Denver, Colorado. So I'd like to know where you all from. Hi, Alex from San
Denver.
Francisco, Jane from Denver, Kali from Longmont. Hi. Oh, Cristina from Boston, Jean from Arvada. Hi.
I'm curious, Rafna, is it snowing where you are? How's the weather over there?
No, we had snow last week, but we are in like more not so cold and not so warm or hot. So it's kind of perfect balance. We had sun.
Snowed here.
So, oh, wow.
Well, it snowed here. Listen to this. It snowed here 2 weeks ago, and today it is 72 degrees. So for those of you who say global warming does not exist, I beg to differ.
We also have like one day it's 70 and next day it's 40, 30s and 40. So it's
same
there.
It's craziness. It's craziness.
Yeah. And we had
I love Denver,
early
though.
snow in September. We got snow, and that's kind of like record. So
wow.
Yeah, that's like we are into the record breaking in everywhere. So
it's like records like we don't want to break though. Like I don't want to break that record. Like that record could
me
stay.
Too. Yeah, me too. So it's kind of like that.
Do you ski, Rafna?
No, I'm learning. I started last year, and then this year I don't think I'm going to do.
Yeah, me either. I probably won't do it this year.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem too
I started last
friendly.
year and it felt very good. I wanted to continue this year. But yeah. One day.
Next year. Next year.
One day I will be a pro.
Oh, let's see. So we have some Colorado, good amount of Colorado people.
Yes.
Anyone from the East Coast? Any East Coast people up in here? I know it's late. It's late over here. It's 9 p.m. So maybe no East Coast people.
San Francisco.
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Yeah. We'll start in a minute. We'll give some time for everyone.
Cool. Teresa from Connecticut. Where do you live now? Looks like you moved from Connecticut.
She's in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not missing much, Teresa, but it is almost 70 degrees over here. So 72.
Yeah, this week it's in 50s.
It's not bad. Not for November, not bad.
Yeah. We had 30s last week, so it's just moved from 250. So it's got some warmer. Yeah. So I think for Colorado people, they don't have to wear the jacket this weather, but others will wear some light jacket.
As you should.
All
see.
right, let's start. So I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, okay. I don't think I have access to. Okay, never mind. All right. So, hi everyone. Welcome to Women Who Code Boulder Denver's Career Level Up session, all about job search and recursion. So, I'm Rafna, Director of Women Who Code Boulder Denver and Network Lead for Career Returnship Initiative. Those are new to Women Who Codes events. I would like to say a few words about our organization. Women Who Code is a nonprofit organization with a global presence. We have over 200,000 members. We have presence over 20 countries, 70 plus cities, and we are expanding. So Boulder, Denver is one of the Women Who Codes networks. Um, our mission is to inspire women to excel in technology careers. Our vision is to create a world where women are representative as technical executives, founders, VCs, board members, software engineers, all levels of the tech industry. So, in order to achieve that vision, we have events focused on career advancement. So, you can stay longer in the industry and also excel to the top leadership positions or meet your career goals. So, you can visit, you can learn more about us, our networks and events at womenwhocode.com. We have the tools, resources, and network needed to achieve our vision in there. We have presence in almost all the social media platforms, so I can share you with our Colorado chapters social media where you can find all the social media platforms of Colorado. We do have a code of conduct. Women Who Code is an inclusive community. So our events are intended to inspire women to excel in technology careers. And anyone who is there for this purpose is welcome. Our code of conduct applies to all Women Who Code communities and online events. Um, you can read the full version and access our incident report at womenwhocode.com/code of contact. So we are here tonight to learn more about the job search and recursion. So if you have any questions, please use the chat or QA, or we'll have a QA at the end of each session. So you can ask your questions then or in between. We'll try our level best to cover all your questions and answer everything for you. So I'm introducing Cristina Costa, lead career coach at Outco, to talk more about Outco and dive into the session. So to you, Cristina.
Thank you so much, Rafna. And hi, everybody. Happy Hump Day. Happy Hump Day, everybody. I'm actually really excited for today because it's 11/11 and that's like my lucky number. So 11/11, here we go. I'm going to go and share my screen and hopefully you all can see it. Hold on one second. All right, awesome. So all about the technical job search. That's what today's topic is going to be. I'm going to try to cover as much as possible. There is a lot to cover, but I'm going to try and get through as much as possible in these 40 minutes that we have together before you go on to the technical part of today's presentation with Hadis, who is my colleague. So before we dive into that, I want to introduce myself very briefly, and then there is actually a poll that I want you guys to fill out. So first and foremost, my name is Cristina Costa. As Rafna mentioned, I am the lead career coach here at Outco. I also do coaching and consulting for women, specifically women who are going through unemployment right now through Cristina Costa Coaching. I also do diversity and inclusion consulting. That's a lot of my passion, is to make not only the tech industry more diverse and inclusive, but to make every industry more diverse and inclusive, right? I have prior experience before working at Outco, working at multiple startups. I worked at Drift. I've worked at big companies such as HubSpot, PayPal, small companies like Lendbuzz, education tech, fintech. So I have a lot of experience in the tech space and interviewing in the tech space. So with that said, if you could please take maybe next 30 seconds to just fill out those polls. There's one that asks you years of experience. Awesome. So it looks like the majority of you, 75%, are pretty new to the engineering industry. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad that you guys are here, and I'm hoping that the information I share with you today will help you on your job search, especially if this is your first job in engineering, right? The technical interview process can be a little bit scary. The second question, if you can please take a minute to fill it out. Would you like to receive more information on our job search workshops? Awesome. So I see a good amount of you say yes. That's awesome to hear. Great. Let's give you another second or so while everybody just fills out that poll really quickly. And then I'll dive into my workshop. And just so you all know, I really like audience participation. So feel free to write, if you have a question, to ask it in the Q&A or ask it in the chat. I'll also be asking some questions and hope to get your engagement, because I don't like talking for an hour by myself. So please engage with me, please speak with me, and we'll make this as fun as possible. Awesome. And it looks like the last question, oh, no, we went through all the questions. Okay, cool. All right, so first and foremost, many might be wondering, what is Outco? So just so you know, Outco is a technical career training program for job-seeking software engineers, founded in 2015, and focused primarily on the technical interview process, which, as many of you know, is broken, right? So we have trained and placed over 2,000 engineers of all backgrounds and developer experiences since then. And again, no matter where you learn to code, whether that's in a boot camp or whether you're a computer science degree, or maybe you're self-taught, right? There's a lot of self-taught engineers now. We will support you throughout your job search journey and really help you get that job that you deserve. All right, so I'm just curious. I want to know, put a 1 in the chat if you are currently on the job search. Okay, see a good amount of 1s. Thank you for participating. Yeah. All right, my next question is, I'm just curious, how do you normally start your job search process? Like, where do you begin? What's kind of like the first thing that you do? LinkedIn networking. Yes, Jane. Jane is already on top of it. Indeed. Okay. What else? What do you guys do? What's like your first thing that you do in the job search process? Oop, I don't want to give the answers yet. LinkedIn, update resume. Okay, Jean, I think Jean saw my notes. So as I mentioned, the job search in itself is a job, right? It's a lot of work. So today we're going to go through some of the crucial steps of the job search that will really help you not only stand out and earn the role that you want, but really help you get to that job of your dreams, right? You don't want just any job. You want to make sure that that next job is going to be the job that really supports you, helps you thrive, and where you feel that you'll fit, right? That you'll fit into the culture, where you'll feel supported and all of that. So we want to make sure you get all of those things, but that requires a lot of work. So today we're going to be focusing on really the first 4 steps of the job search process, which is number 1, research, right? Research, research, research. Number 2, updating your resume. So helping you with putting in the correct keywords. The ATS, just so you know, that means applicant tracking systems. And this is what a lot of job portals use, right? To actually assess whether or not you have the skills that they need for this role, right? So when you apply on Indeed, or if you apply on LinkedIn, or you apply on any third-party website, they're going to be using these applicant tracking systems. So what keywords can you use to really stand out? Number 3, network. This one's huge, right? Networking is so big. I'm actually going to be focusing most of this session on networking. We actually have a strategy at Outco called reverse recruiting, and we'll be talking about that. Lastly is applying, right? Once you apply, hopefully you get a phone screen, then you'll have an interview. And then of course, if you get an interview and you get an offer, then negotiation, right? That's another part of the job search process. All right. So step 1, let's talk a little bit about research. So finding a job is a job, right? And the last thing you want is to end up in a role or at a company that you don't like, right? Because that's happened to me many times because I didn't do the adequate research. So what'll end up happening is if you don't do the research up front, you'll probably end up somewhere where you don't really like it because you didn't do enough research to see if it would be a good fit. And then you'll be on the job search again next year, right? Or maybe in 2 years. So this is why research is so crucial. The first step to your research, honestly, is internal, right? What is it that are your values and your skills, right? Oh, I have a typo there, right? What are your values? What are your skills? What can you bring to the table, right? What kind of role do you really want? You really have to ask those questions to yourself. The next question you'll want to ask is, what impact do you want to make, right? Do you want to help people? Maybe you're really into, I don't know, healthcare. You want to work in health tech, or maybe, you really want to help people with their finances. So fintech may be, the industry that you want to be in, or maybe you want to make more of like a global change, right? So maybe you would want to work for a global organization, right? What is the impact that you want to make? It's something really important to think about for yourself. The next thing is, what kind of work culture is important to you, right? What kind of work culture do you want to be in? Do you really value work-life balance? Do you really value, having unlimited PTO? Or are you you're okay with, you want to be more of like in a startup where you'll kind of wear many, many hats, right? What is it? What's the work culture that you really want for yourself? Where do you thrive the most? So I challenge you all to think about that, right? What kind of work do you want to do, right? What industry are you interested in? What gives you energy? What drains your energy, right? All of these things are research you have to do internally first. Think about what it is that you want to do before you go on the search, right? Now, once you do have somewhat of an idea of what you want and the values that you really want, you can use websites such as keyvalues.com, Glassdoor, or LinkedIn, right? These are different websites that you can use to do more research on maybe the specific companies that you're interested, or specific industries that you're interested in. I actually want to do a really quick activity with you guys because I absolutely love keyvalues.com. Not sure if you've used them before. But give me in the chat, when this pulls up, just give me maybe a value that you see here that you really, that really calls to you, something that you really, really want. So I want to show you how this website works because it's pretty awesome. If you can just put it in the chat, what's like a value here that you want me to click on that really calls to you? Let's say for me, I'm really interested in work-life balance, right? That's huge. It's really important. Allison said diverse team. Okay, so let's do team is diverse. Let's do 2 more. Flexible work arrangements and social impact. Okay. Where is social impact? I'm trying to find it. I know it's here. I don't see social impact. Am I missing it? Social impact. Let's see. Let's maybe choose, innovation. So I see innovation. Okay, so let me find where is innovation, creative, and innovative. Okay, so for now, let's just choose those 4. And this is how the website works. It's actually going to show you 55 companies that supposedly match these values, right? So this actually helps you kind of narrow down the search. You can see, okay, so GitHub, everybody knows GitHub. So that's a company that maybe you'd be interested in. Change.org, Good Notes. I'm trying to see, there's a Lever. Yep, I know Lever. Coast, Carbon 5, Asana, right? These are a lot of the companies that align with these values. So I highly recommend trying keyvalues.com. I'm actually going to put it in the chat so you all have it. It's really helpful for your job search once you figured out what values are very important to you. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to this. Okay, so alrighty, sorry about that. Okay, so now that we know a little bit about the values that we want and we've done some of this research, right? What's the next step? Again, we want to make sure that you're intentional with your job search, right? So in order to be most effective, you want to build something called a prospect list. I'm curious, has anyone ever built a prospect list before? You can put a 1 in the chat if you've done it before. Awesome. Oh, so we have a lot of advanced job seekers here. Okay. That's awesome to know. All my boot camp teachers. Oh, great. Okay, cool. Yes, prospect lists are super, super important, right? Because it's essentially helping you narrow down what companies, what industries, right? What location, what products, what tech stack, right? These are all the different things you can include in your prospect list. So that this will help you give a more structure to your job search, right? You don't want to just be on LinkedIn and see a million jobs and just apply, which is, I know a lot of people do, but that's not very effective, right? You want to make sure that you're being very intentional with your job search. So I highly recommend building a prospect list. And also part of the prospect list is finding the right person at that company that you'd like to reach out to as well, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about who you know. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when I discuss reverse recruiting later on. So I'm actually going to share with you guys the prospect list template that we use for our outcoders, for people who join the Outco program. I just put it in the chat. Feel free to use it. Feel free to just make a copy and fill it out. I guarantee it will help you with your job search process, and it'll help you narrow down more so the types of companies you want to work at. What industry do you want to be in, right? So please take the time to really be intentional about your job search, right? I guarantee it'll save you a lot of time in the future. Awesome. All right, step 2, updating your resume, right? Now this one is huge because you will want to make sure that you're adding specific keywords in your resume that will demonstrate the skills and the tech stack that you're applying for. So in this case, right, you definitely want to make sure that you have your skills first. That is the first thing that not only a recruiter will be looking for, but also the applicant tracking system, right? They want to know what your skills are. So make sure that you have your skills very much front and center. Next, you'll want to have your experience, right? They want to see your skills. They want to know your experience, your education, right? If that's something that's really important to you and to the job you're applying to, the education, any projects that you've worked on, right? These are things that you'll definitely want to include on your resume and make sure that it's very clearly stated and very easy to read, right? You don't want to have too many images. You don't want to have anything kind of cluttering your resume. You want to make sure that you have all of those things very clearly stated. You'll also want to make sure you have action, results, and metrics in your resume, right? So instead of, just saying something like developed idea for a chat application, you could say developed an idea for a chat application that increased user experience by 30%, right? You want to make sure you have as many metrics as you can have in there. Did I see someone had a question? If someone has a question, feel free to write it in the chat, or I don't know if you can unmute yourself. Oops. I'm not sure who had a question. Oh, okay. Sorry, Alex. You sure? You sure you don't want to participate? All right, no worries. So definitely you want to make sure that you update your resume, right? So for example, if you're applying to a back-end engineering role and the role requires that you know Python and Django, for example, you definitely want to make sure that you include in your experience that you have experience with Python, Node, or Django, because again, these are the keywords that the applicant tracking systems will be looking for. And not only the applicant tracking systems, but also recruiters, right? So you want to make sure that if you want to be found for these specific skill sets, that you have those keywords in multiple places on your resume. Awesome. All right. Step 3, this is my favorite step, because I think if you do step 3 correctly, you don't even need a resume, to be honest. So step 3 is reverse recruiting, right? When you hear this term, what do you guys think it is? What do you think reverse recruiting means? You can write it in the chat. What do you think it means? Any ideas? This is a kind of term we've coined for ourselves. Reaching out to employees before applying. Yes. Okay, Teresa. You almost got it 100% right. Almost. You're like 85% right. I'll tell you guys. So reverse recruiting is essentially what it sounds like, right? The process of recruiting for yourself. Instead of waiting for a recruiter to reach out to you, you're actually reaching out to a recruiter or a hiring manager instead, right? And I know this sounds really weird, and a lot of people are like, what? We can do that? Yes, you can. Okay. Reverse recruiting can lead to many things. And the most important thing it leads to, referrals, right? So I just want to share a few referral statistics here. So first and foremost, referrals have the highest ROI, meaning 82% of employers rated employee referrals above all other sources for generating the best return on investment, right? 82%. Number 2, it says 88% of employers said that referrals are the #1 best source for above average applicants, right? So they really believe in the quality of a hire through referrals. And thirdly, referred candidates are 55% faster to hire compared with employees sourced through career websites. 55% faster to hire. So as you can see, having a referral and reverse recruiting can be very, very effective if done correctly. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. How do you do this effectively? All right. So before we break into that and how to do it effectively, I just want to talk about some common mental roadblocks that you may be faced with. And I want you to know that it's totally normal to feel like this, right? A lot of people have a lot of anxiety about reaching out to people they don't know. Maybe they have a fear of rejection, or fear that they're annoying somebody, or lack of proactivity, or feel like an imposter, right? And maybe just feel like, oh, I don't know this person. Why would they want to talk to me? So these are common psychological roadblocks that everyone faces and may experience during the reverse recruiting strategy, right? And it's totally normal to feel these things. I just want to let you guys all know that it's totally normal to feel awkward about reaching out to people you don't know. However, I do want you to keep in mind that you're not reaching out to someone to beg for a job. You're not reaching out to someone because you're like, you know, you don't have anything to offer. You are reaching out to someone because you are essentially a problem solver, right? You are a problem solver, and they have a problem, and their problem is they need an employee for a certain role, and you're there to solve that problem. So if you kind of reframe your mindset into thinking, oh, I'm bothering someone, to I'm actually solving a problem for someone, right? Because imagine if you are the perfect fit for that role, you save that recruiter so much time, right? Instead of them looking for you, you found them, right? So I want you to approach this in that way, that you are solving a problem for someone, and you're not being annoying. You're not going out of your way and harassing somebody. So just remember that. And also want to let you know a little bit about the mindset of a recruiter in the first place. So as a job seeker or interview candidate, it is essentially your responsibility, right, to look for a role, explain and share your experience and your background, and speak to recruiters. But I know a lot of people think of recruiters as gatekeepers, right? Or, you know, they're kind of the enemy, or they, you know, they're not there to help you. They're there to kind of block you. And I really want to change that mindset as well, because recruiters, they want to see you go through the hiring process. They actually want you to be hired just as much as you want the job. And the reason they want that is because they get paid from that, right? When they place somebody, they get paid for who they've placed, right? So the mindset of a recruiter, they're actually, what does a recruiter want to do? They want to get you hired, right? They want to set you up for success. They send you resources, they plan around your schedule, they schedule interviews with you, right? They give you insights into the company. So essentially, they are your advocates, right? They're not your adversaries. They're actually your advocates. And just so you know, recruiters are only as good as the information that you provide them, right? So I really want you all to remember that any skill sets that you share with them, any projects that you share with them, or if you tell them about your mission, your mission that aligns with their company, this is all ammo that they can use to advocate for you to the hiring managers, right? So look at recruiters as your friends and advocates, not as your gatekeepers or blockages, okay? LinkedIn, this one's huge, right? Why was LinkedIn created? Actually, I'm curious, why do you guys think LinkedIn was created? In the chat, why was LinkedIn created? It's okay, not all at once. I'll answer. Professional network to connect people, job networking. Awesome, thank you so much. Yeah, exactly, you're all right. LinkedIn was created to help you build a professional network, right? It was created to build connections to help you advance professionally. So for this reason, the top 2 LinkedIn users are recruiters and sales professionals, right? And so LinkedIn is a great resource that you should all be using to search for potential connections, right? Potential hiring managers or recruiters. And I guarantee you, almost every single recruiter is on LinkedIn, right? Because it is such a large platform and they're looking for candidates like you. All right. So back to reverse recruiting, because I definitely want to make sure we talk about that skill because I absolutely love reverse recruiting and I do it all the time. So before I tell you a little bit more about the strategy, I'm just curious, have you ever received in LinkedIn, put a 1 in the chat if you've ever received one of those generic canned responses in LinkedIn? The ones that's trying to sell you something or trying to get you to look at their resume, or I don't know, but like a canned response, 1, 1, 1. Okay, I see a lot of 1s. So clearly you can tell it's a canned response, right? You can tell the person didn't put very much effort into it. It's clearly copy paste. Maybe they just changed your name, right? But you can tell. You read it and you're like, they're trying to sell me something, or they want something from me, right? So the reason I'm asking that question is because people can tell when you have copied and pasted a message to them as well, right? So we really want to make sure that in our reverse recruiting strategy that we are sharing our solution. Again, you're a problem solver. So you want to make sure that you're adding value to the person you're reaching out to, not just asking for something, right? You want to make sure you're adding some value to them. So the reverse recruiting strategy I'm going to show you is really, really focused solely on building relationships, not just building a template, right? So actually building relationships. So first thing you need to do in order to write an effective outreach message, which is a reverse recruiting message, is research the person you're reaching out to, right? So you want to know what they're about. You can do that by looking at their LinkedIn page. Who knows? Maybe they have a blog article. Maybe they wrote about something in their About Me section. Maybe you can even see where they went to school. Who knows? Maybe you have something in common with them. Maybe you're located in the same city, whatever it may be, right? So do a little bit of research before reaching out. Then you're going to strategize what you will say in relation to their interests, their role, their responsibilities, right? Based on that research that you've done on them. Third is you'll want to connect with this person, either via LinkedIn or email, to share your fit, right? Explain yourself, right? Show your value, essentially. And number 2, make an ask. right? This could be an invitation to a phone conversation or a Zoom chat. Unfortunately, no, we can't do coffee. We can't go out for coffee right now, but you can ask someone, if they are up for a 20-minute chat next week, or, hey, do you have availability in the next week or so for a phone call, right? Whatever it may be, but you definitely want to make sure you end your message with an ask. Again, the end goal is to create an authentic connection, which is essentially also an informational interview, right? Awesome. I'm going to actually share an example of a really good reverse recruiting message. This one's a little bit long. I think this person definitely had LinkedIn Premium, but I'll just show you so you can kind of get an idea what I'm talking about putting in the research. So this is actually a message that was sent to my colleague when he was a recruiter at Earnest. So someone reached out to him and said, I'll read it really quickly because it's really long. I decided to send you an invite, not because I applied to the data analytics expert position at Earnest, but also because I read and was inspired by your article on why you left Google to work towards building the bank of the future. I have a strategic mind. I think there is a huge potential to disrupt the financial market, long dominated by institutions that don't really care about consumer experience. I say this as a customer, as a professional who worked in the industry for many years. In the post, you mentioned that readers should not hesitate to reach out to you to discuss the possibility of joining Earnest. Even though I don't fall into product managers and software engineers categories, I still think that I can offer a lot to Earnest. I have many years of education and many years of working within the business intelligence space, focusing on using data to drive decision-making processes. More importantly, I have a drive and motivation to learn new things every day. I'm enthusiastic about working with others to solve problems, and I'm passionate about data and analytics. The only thing he's missing here was the call to action. Now, would you give this guy a phone conversation? If you were a recruiter and he reached out to you this way, you can put a yes in the chat if you would. Yeah, right? Because he didn't just say, hey, I want a job at Earnest, let's meet, right? He actually showed that he read the article, right? He actually showed that he was inspired by it and explained why, right? And then he talked about his experience and the value that he can bring to Earnest, even though he doesn't have the traditional background that they're looking for, right? Now, don't get me wrong, this message probably took him quite a while to write. I'm sure it wasn't like a 5-minute thing, right? But just so you know, he was hired, by the way. My colleague told me he was hired. But that did lead to him having a very good conversation and essentially got the job, right? Cool. Oh, okay. I think we have enough time. I don't know if we'll have enough time to do this. I really wanted to do an activity with you all and give you kind of like a template. But again, I don't want you to just copy and paste. This is more of like a frame of reference that you can use for your messages, right? I'm going to give you, I don't know if I'll have enough time. I'm going to give you 4 minutes. I don't think you'll be able to finish. But why don't we do this? I wanted to give you 5 minutes to write a reverse recruiting message to someone. But instead of that, why don't we do this? I want you to find 2 people on LinkedIn that you could potentially reach out to via reverse recruiting. You don't have to send the message now. I just want you to look through your network and maybe find 2 people that you would want to reach out to. I'll give you guys like 3 minutes. So look through your LinkedIn and find 2 people, maybe 2 recruiters that you may want to reach out to. I'll give you guys like 3 minutes. And if you do find it immediately and you want to use this message and kind of tweak it a little bit, feel free to do so. That's bonus points. But I definitely want you to take a couple minutes to find maybe 2 people that you would want to reach out to. Okay. It was a couple minutes. I don't think I gave you guys enough time. Were any of you able to find one or two people that you would like to reach out to? You can say yes or no in the chat. I might not have given you enough time. Oh, sweet. Awesome. So what your homework will be for yourself is to reach out to these people, right? Do your research, send them a thoughtful message, and be sure that you ask to follow up with them either for a Zoom call or a phone call. And, say, make sure that you end it with, hey, can we set up a time to chat? Can we set up a time to connect in the next week or so? So I can learn more about your company culture, or I can learn more about your experience working there, or whatever it may be. But definitely make sure that you end that message with a direct ask. Cool. Other tips, these are just other LinkedIn tips in general. Make sure that you accept LinkedIn requests. I know a lot of people get a little funny about LinkedIn, and they're like, if I don't know you, I'm not going to accept you. But this is not like Facebook, right? You don't have your personal things on LinkedIn. This is purely professional. So I recommend, accept as many connections as you can, and connect with people you don't know, right? Connect with people that maybe you really admire their career path, or maybe connect with people that work at a company that you really want to work at, right? There's nothing wrong with doing that and connecting with people that you don't know on LinkedIn. Make sure to build your online presence, right? Think about, what does your LinkedIn profile say about you? One thing you can do is, if you don't like writing articles, it's something you can definitely do, right? You can blog and write articles about topics that interest you, or maybe a tech stack that you're really passionate about, or a project, or whatever it may be. But you can also share content, right? That's what I do a lot on my LinkedIn. I like to reshare a lot of helpful articles. I don't do a lot of my own writing, but I do a lot of sharing, right, of other resources that may be helpful for people. Comments too, that's a big one, right? Commenting on what other people post. Just so you know, the way that LinkedIn works is, the more you use LinkedIn, they have all these algorithms set up at the back end, but the more you use LinkedIn, so the more you comment, the more you reshare, the more you post, the more you have on your profile, all of those things, the higher you'll actually be in the searching ranks when recruiters are using LinkedIn for recruiting, because it shows you as an active user, right? So if you have a page that has no photo and barely any information about yourself, and you never use LinkedIn like once a month, your chances of being found on the recruiter platform on LinkedIn are much lower than someone who's more active on LinkedIn. Just a little heads up. And then number 3, right? Understanding that people are going to do their homework on you anyway, right? Whether a person hears about you through a referral, whether you apply on a website and the recruiter sees your resume, I mean, they're probably still going to look at your LinkedIn. They're still going to go and search to see if you have a LinkedIn profile and what the LinkedIn profile has on it, right? So make sure that you give them some value. Make sure that you have a presence on LinkedIn that they can find, and that they can get some value from, and learn about you and who you are. So think about what your LinkedIn says about you, because this is really, in this virtual world, especially now with COVID, this is really where people are learning about candidates, right? Is through LinkedIn. And then step 4, last step, the easy step, once you've done all the hard stuff, right, is apply, right? Even better if you get a direct referral from a recruiter or an employee at the company. Apply on the company website or the third-party website, and be sure to follow up with a thank you email if you were referred, or if you have been in contact with a recruiter. These little details, like remembering to say thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, or thank you so much for sharing your resources with me, whatever it is, like little things like that can really help you stand out, right? Because a lot of people don't do it. Awesome. This was just some phone screen tips, but I don't think we'll have time to get through it today. But this is, again, if you do essentially get an interview and you, before an interview, if you get a phone screen, I just wanted you all to know that the goal of the phone screen is literally to assess if you're a good fit or not for the organization or the company, right? This is really what the hiring manager wants to know. They want to know, can you do the job and would I want to work with you? Right? Those are the two questions that a hiring manager or a recruiter wants to know. They want to know, do you have the skills, the experience, the education, the learning ability, and would I want to work with you, right? What's your attitude like? How do you communicate? What's your experience, right? Are you curious? Are you a curious learner or not? Awesome. Great. Well, I hope that this was helpful to you all. We will be taking a 1 or 2 minute break, actually. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to be here towards the end if you guys have specific questions for me or if you want to ask it in the chat. Oh, Allison says, do you accept anyone, even if they are a random person from a country you aren't working in? I mean, if there's like absolutely no correlation with this person at all, like not even a mutual connection or anything like that, then I guess you don't have to. But it's also like, what's the harm in accepting them? That's how I look at it. But if it looks very spammy, if like if the profile looks very spammy, I normally don't accept it if it looks like a fake profile. Oh, Julie, no problem. I hope it was helpful. So in the next 2 minutes, if you guys have any other questions, you can ask in the chat or you can wait till the end. We'll have a Q&A section. But my colleague and technical coach, Hadis, will be starting her presentation in the next minute or so, where she'll be going over some recursion problems with you guys. That'll be really helpful during the technical part of your interview process. So I'm happy that this was helpful. Again, reverse recruiting, if you do it right, and if you are able to network effectively, then you won't even really need a resume, to be honest. I don't remember the last time I used a resume. Don't tell anybody. All right, 1 more minute, and then Hadis, feel free to take it away when you're ready.
Thank you, Christina. I appreciate it. I am going to give everybody 1 minute. So you guys take a water break, bring your waters to your tables or to your desks, and then we could get started. Okay. Hi, everybody. I am Hadis. I am a technical coach here at Outco. Today, we're going to go over a recursion problem. And the problem is I'm also going to send you a link to our online IDE so you guys could have an access. Please, once you have the once you are in the IDE, please don't highlight things because that will be a little bit difficult for us to code as we are as it's highlighted. Okay, that will be the problem. So let me also share my screen so we could go through the problem together. The problem for today is power set. And the prompt is, given a set S, return the power set, which is a set of all subsets, right? So you're going to have an input as a string, and then your output is going to be an array of strings representing the power set of the input. So in this case, the string that you're going to get is going to be ABC. So the power set of that is going to be empty set, ABC, every combination, right? AB, AC, BC, ABC, and I think that's going to be 8. Yeah, that is going to be 8 inputs. So there is also a note, the input string will not contain duplicate characters. The letters in the subset string must be in the same order as the original input. Okay. actually, I want to check, does the attendees are they able to talk? Or I could work with the chat as well. Let's see. I don't think so. Okay, that's fine. So what we can do is just, I'm going to open my chat right in the corner so we can talk through the chat. You guys chat, I'll talk, and we will make this work. Okay, so we know the question. Any questions regarding to the problem or understanding the problem? And if you guys don't type anything, I'll assume that you guys don't have any questions. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, so I'm assuming that was not a no. And also, can everybody see? Okay, is CA equal to, is CA not equal to AC? Let's go back. CA, we don't have CA. So that will be not equal to AC. In this case, we want the combination is going to be A, B, C. So this is actually going to be equal to each other, right? It is going to be the same thing. The order wouldn't matter. I'm asking is 8, I'm asking is 8 is really the limit? The limit to the power set when you have a size 3 input? Yes, it is. So this is going to be, yeah, that's actually mathematically proven. So the power set is all the possible combinations of elements of the string. Yes, yep, it is. Great. Yeah, so the power set, remember if you just have an A, right? A in itself, in the math, right? I think you probably, if you guys have taken discrete math, I think discrete math has it. So an empty string is always the part of the power, one of the subsets, right? So power set is all the possible subsets that you could make out of the set. And then A is the subset. And then you have a AB. AB is going to have a subset of empty string. And then it's going to be A. And then it's going to be B. And then it's going to be AB. So that's going to be it. And then when you have ABC, there's going to be ABC. And then it's going to be AB, BC, well, BC, AB, ABC on individual form, and then you have AB, and then you have AC, another combination, and then you have BC combination, and then you have ABC in that order. Yep, I think you guys are set for now. Great. So that was the question. Let's go on to diagramming this out. What I'm going to do is, let's do this. Let's start from just an A, because that will help us kind of understand even maybe the base case and how even recursion from a larger, we always have the base case, right? Where is the small, we actually diagram or write down the base case, or this is the output that, or the input that it should get when it's equal to this, it should return. And then we kind of let the rest of it take care of itself, and we call the function itself. So let's actually start with 1A. So what I'm going to do is diagram the actual recursion call. So what is going to happen? What I'm also going to do is, if I'm given an input A, I am actually going to just start with an empty string. What I can do is either it's going to go on my right hand side, I'm going to, whatever incoming element that I have, I'm going to add it. But in my left hand side, I'm not going to add it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is going to be. So in this case, I am going to, my incoming element is going to be A. So I'm going to copy the empty string. The parent, I'm always going to bring it down. So in this case, the empty string is always empty. So it's going to be empty. And then I'm going to leave, it's going to be A, right? But then the left hand side, is going to be what it is the parent is not going to take the incoming element. So again, when you have an A, you're going to have this too. So let's actually do for AB, right? So let's do for AB. Now, my incoming element, I'm going to change this to my iterator. So I is going to be at, are we supposed to see a whiteboard? We are supposed to see a whiteboard. This is, let me show you, are all supposed to see whiteboard. Let's see, can everybody see the whiteboard now? Thank you for sharing. Yes, okay, great. Thank you. I'm glad I didn't go too far with this. Okay, so when we just have an A, right? This is what I was mentioning is, let's say the right-hand branch is going to add that incoming element along with the parent. So what I'm going to do is actually both branches are going to copy whatever the parent node is, and then I'm going to add the incoming element. In this case, it's just I or just A, and I'm going to add A here. So this really, it's because it was empty, it doesn't really matter. So we could just keep it as just A. And then the left-hand child, the right-hand child is going to be empty. The left-hand child is going to have an A. And that is the power set of it, right? So it's just going to be A and an empty string. Actually, because it's in the order, so I'm going to do, let's see the input. What was the input? And it is, the input starts with an empty string, right? So I'm going to do, if it starts with an empty string, that means if I'm adding each one of them, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to switch them. It's going to be A here. It's going to be empty here. Okay. So on the right-hand side, I'm going to add them. Let me bring this out in the middle. And now my string is AB. So AB. So I know I worked on A when the incoming element is A. So what I'm trying to do is in each level, I'm going to add one element at a time. So now this was my 0th level, this is my 1st level, and then in my 2nd level, I'm going to increment my I, and then I'm going to add in each one of these branches, I'm going to add B, along with their whatever I have the parent. So in this case, it's empty, and we know that this hand always going to add, right? So let me highlight this, make it a little bit prettier. This plus means whatever iterator that I am in, it's going to add that along with its parents. So because it's the left-hand child, it's just going to not add anything. So I'm going to keep that the way it is. And then it is the right-hand child. I am going to get whatever the parent is, which in this case is empty. So I'm just going to leave that B, but then B is here, right? So I'm going to add B in there. The same thing with A. A is not, this is again the left-hand child, we're not supposed to add anything. So I'm just going to get whatever the parent is. And then I'm going to get the parent along with whatever incoming element is, which is going to be B. So now we have a size of, the subset is going to be size 4. I'll do one more one, which is going to be ABC. So the next level, I'm going to add C, and then my iterator is going to increment to C. So as each iterator is going to be, it's going to add into, it's going to be a different level, new level. So each level will have one element added to it. So in this case, let me also add, it's always the right-hand child that is going to add those elements, and then the left-hand child is just going to copy the parent. So in this case, the empty string is going to be empty. I'm going to add C here, right? Because that's the incoming element. C is going to come here. And then B, I'm going to have B here, because that's just the parent. But then because in the right-hand child is going to have a C, because we're going to add an element there. And the same thing with the left-hand child of A, I'm just going to have A. And then on the right-hand child of A, I'm going to have A and because it's from my parent, and then C because my iterator is there. And let's do AB. AB, the parent is going to be still the same for both cases, but because we have an iterator and adding portion here, I'm going to add C here. So now it should give us 8. So this is the empty string. Oh, this is C, this is B, this is BC, this is A, this is AC, this is, what is that? This is AB, and then ABC. Okay, so that is all the subsets of my ABC. So the power set of my ABC that I'm going to get. So that is going to be that. Now let's actually go on to coding this out. Before I do that, let's see if you all have any questions. Let me go in the chat. Any questions so far? Okay, so no questions so far. Great. I like your tree. Thank you. It's a good way to diagram it out. And it is a very, especially with recursion, it is a good method. So in this case, we're just iterating, but in some other cases, so order doesn't matter because BC is the same order. We are going to get into that. The order does matter because we had in our, what is it called? In our, here, right? The input string will not contain duplicate characters. The letter in the subset string must be in the same order as the origin. The letters in the subset strings must be in the same order as the original input. So it has to be in the same order because it says A, B, C has to come first, and then A, B, A, C. That's a very good question. We're going to get there why I thought my diagram was going to give me the same order, but it didn't. Maybe because I flipped it. Let me actually change this and maybe make this the different way around, and maybe that's going to help, but I don't think that is. Let's actually do this. I'm going to do this very fast. And that's about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. I'm going to add, this is going to be, this is going to be empty, empty, empty. This is going to add. So it's going to be A, B, C. It's going to have, what else? These are not going to have it, right? So in this case, it's going to be, what was this? A is going to add, B is going to add, A, B is going to add, A, B is going to be here. A is going to add, we're going to do both of these. A is going to add, A is not going to add, and then A is going to add AC, right? AC, and then A is just going to remain the way it is, add, 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 and then this is empty. Let's move on to A, empty, empty. This case, it was, I think we were in B. So that's going to be B. That's going to be BC. That's going to be B because it's on the right-hand chart. And then this one is going to be empty, empty, empty. But this case is going to be C. It's going to be empty, empty. Okay, yeah. So the order doesn't, I was hoping the diagram is going to show the order, but it doesn't show the order. But we're going to figure that out with our code. But this is kind of a good way to diagram out our recursion. And this really saves a lot of headache. Okay, so moving on to the recursion, I know that I have to somehow iterate, and I have two branches. One of them is always adding an incoming element to it, and the other one is not adding an incoming element to it. So can somebody kind of maybe walk me through potentially how can I do this? I am going to give a little bit, before we actually code this out, I am going to go through a little bit of the code, pseudocode. So let's name it power set, right? Let's call it power set. We are going to use, let's do string, let's do input, because input, and I am going to have result, and the result is going to have our input in it. The result is going to be, just for now, it's going to be empty. And then I'm going to do what is called a helper method recursion, where you actually do a helper method right inside of the actual function. And then that helper method recursion is going to call itself. That's going to be where recursion is going to happen. So until I equals n. Okay, so let's go to, let me do, let's call it traverse. And this is going to be my helper method recursion. def traverse, it is going to get two things. But before I do that, let me do a pass here. What I am going to do is right here at the bottom, from my power set, I'm going to call my traverse. And what traverse is going to do is it's going to, let's put that in here. It for now, the first thing that you passed on was an empty string, right? And then it's also going to get the first index, which is going to be 0. So what I'm going to pass for the first time, traverse, the first time that I'm actually calling traverse, the first time that I'm calling is passing the empty string, which is going to be just an empty string, and then I'm passing the 0, right? That's going to be 0. So I'm going to name this build because it's building up, right? It's ABC, it's going to build up. And then I'm going to name this just index, it's fine. Okay, so our problem boils down to this portion, right? Let me get rid of this. You guys are all familiar with this. Okay, so our problem boils down into this portion. So can somebody out of the diagram, right? I have to do a base case, and we have to always have a recursive case or cases. So can somebody maybe help me out? What would be the recursive cases? Let's start with recursive cases and we out of non-traditional way and then go to the base case. Maybe that will be more helpful. Out of this diagram, right? I go to, sometimes I add it and sometimes I don't add it. And how can I do that with traverse? I am going to do, because it's 2 times, right? So let's call, I'm going to do a base case here. Base case. And then this is going to be my recursive cases. Recursive. So what I'm going to do also is I have 2 branches. So I'm going to go to the left and I'm going to go to the right. I'm in one of them I'm adding, in one of them I'm not adding. So let's do this. Let's actually go to traverse, and then traverse. Can you all in the chat, you guys don't even have to say it. Okay. Put any suggestions that you guys have, what traverse, what elements or what index should the traverse should take and what not. I know Anna has done it. Okay, so in this case, I am passing whatever build string that I have, right? So that is given. So let's actually make this a little bit larger. You can all see this part. Let's move this. Okay, so for the first case, build, and somebody mentioned we're going to do index plus 1, right? And what would be the next case if I'm doing this? It's going to be, let's see, let me write this down. Maybe you guys could see how. Build plus the whatever input that I'm getting, right? So in this case, it's going to be this inputs index plus and the comma index. Oops, let me remove this. Index plus 1. Okay. I'm not seeing anybody. Okay, if does anybody have any question, or what would be your question? So right now, this build is going to be, right? We have 2 branches. So let's actually follow this. The first traverse case, right, is going to be, let me highlight this. This is, right? So it's going to go through each iteration. It is going to increment, but it's really not adding into the string, right? It's not, so this is this, where you're going to go to build, and build is going to be here, right? You're passing the same build. And then you're doing index +1. So you're going to come here, index +1. Your index is incrementing. This index is going to increment, but you're in index +1. You're not adding into your build, right? And then, while in this case, if you're here in the second traverse over here, what it's doing is traverse, you build it, right? So you are, let's put, you're at the beginning, you're at empty string, right? And then you build. What it does is you're going to take that input as part of the input. So in this case, it's going to be here, right? So the actual empty string plus, what was it? The input of that string, which is going to give you A, right? So that is going to give you A. So that's where that branch is going to cover. So the first branch is going to be, the first recursive call is going to be the one that you don't, that just the parent is going along, but the second one is not. I didn't get the second branch. Okay, yeah. So the second branch is, the only thing that is different in the second branch is we are adding we're taking the parent for both of them, right? So the build is when we have, let's say I'm going to copy this portion. I'm going to build, and this one is doing exactly that. I'm putting the build here. And then this one is doing exactly that. I'm putting the build here. Perfect, that is done. The only thing that is different in the second case is we're doing class input index. So my index right now was actually now here. So in this one, because we had a class, right? The incoming element is going to be whatever the index is here, which is going to be B. So this is just going to add that build on, which is going to be put B there. Does that help? Yeah, perfect. I'm glad everybody got it. So that is the only difference. One branch adds it, one branch doesn't add it. So let me remove this. Let me remove this. And then you're incrementing your index, you're incrementing your index. Okay, so now we did solve this problem. So what would be the base case though? I am going to write my if condition here. If, what would be the base case? What do you think would should be the base case? Yes, somebody got it. If index is going to equal to the length of my, I'm doing it in Python, so I'm just going to write the actual syntax, the length of my input. Okay, we are going to return. Okay, so that is about it. That's going to solve us actually. Before that, are we done? What do we return and where do we return it? One last question. Okay, I think we just have, that is going to be at the end of this, we'll have to return. Yeah, we have to return, but we have to do, okay, so let me do, we did go through all this, right? But I didn't add it into my result, and the result is supposed to push it into the, I have to return my parset, exactly. So what I have to do before I actually return it, I do have to push this before I return it. And why I do this inside the if statement or inside my base case is because, let me actually do this. Right now I'm going to do result dot append append. I'm just going to append build. Okay, so why I'm doing this in my base case is because, for example, if I did it somewhere in here, right? So right in here before the actual recursive case, if I did it here and I append it to the result, and that means basically I cut it here. I didn't go in depth. I cut it here in the middle, and I'm just pushing it into my result, and that's actually terminating it, because you have to go all the way to down here. Once you reach the end, that means when you hit the base case, then you're going to append whatever you're going to have. So they're all going to have, each one of these branches going to go right through, and that is going to, that's why it's in our base case. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Okay. All right. I don't know how much time I'm supposed to, I have left, but I'm going to code this very fast, so we are done with this. Let me Control Shift this. Okay, let's do this definition. I'm going to call it power set. Power set. I'm going to take an input, and I'm also going to have a result. Result is going to be an empty list for now. I'm going to have a helper method recursion, and that is going to be called traverse. And I'm going to have two things, which is going to be build, and then it was index, actually not zero. Before I go further with this, I'm going to call this traverse from my main function, traverse. I'm going to call this traverse on the first time that I'm calling it is on empty string and zero index, right? That is it about now. My base case is going to be if index is going to equal to the length of my input, and that is going to have to return, but actually before returning that, I have to append the build into my result. Append, what is that called? Build. Okay, we have two recursive cases. Recursive cases, and the first one is going to be traverse. It's going to get the build, but it's not going to add anything, and it's going to be an index +1, and then the next one is going to be traverse build along with the input in that index, which is going to be A, B, C. In this case, it's going to be, do I have an I? Index, and then comma, index +1. At the end of this, after all this recursive call is done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to return my result. Let's see if this is going to run. I'm going to call this here, just to print power set input, and the input is, I'm going to give it a string. I'm going to, actually, let's give it ABC. It's supposed to give us the output that we're looking for. Am I missing anything? Because we're getting an empty string, and we're not supposed to get an empty string. Can somebody pinpoint any problem that we see? I'm pretty sure it's a small case, but I wonder what this is. This is how we coded this out. Let me actually check the chat what you guys have seen. After the branch, it is not adding. After the branch, it's not adding. Can you point to what line? And I don't know if this is going to be, let's actually call this in. I'm just making sure that this is not giving me any, oops, not an input. N. Just because I'm not sure if that's going to give me an error. No, that's fine. If index is equal to append, it should be building. Let's run this. This is so interesting. Oh, I see the problem. Because we have to have our traverse, our return output, our return after our traverse we call. That was just a problem. It's just a, oops. And then length, if length is going to be input, I just changed the name of that. Yep, that is going to be the output. Okay, so, all right. The order does not matter. Not sure what this meant here. Note the input string will not contain duplicate characters. That's good. The letter in the subset string must be in the same order. You know what? Let's see if you could do this. Sorted. Just make sure if this is going to work. Okay. So ABC, AC, that will still not be sorted in the same way that they expected the output to be. I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter. We got all our inputs. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, I don't think it matters. Let me see. A, empty, C, B, C, A, B, C. Okay, so that is fine. What we have done is we started with empty string. You could also do the reverse version of this, where you're actually using with a full-on string, and then you're minimizing until you, and your base case is going to be 0, right? When you reach the last index. So that is going to be another way to do this. On that note, I'm going to leave this. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, I think I'm the last person here, so I will end it. But I will wait here for a few more seconds for questions. Okay, the length -1, it's not going to be that. So, and that is because, yeah, you're right in the case where the length is going to be 3 and the index, the last index is going to be 2, and that's actually smaller, right? But the last time when you do index +1, in this case is going to be 3. And then this 3 is going to actually come in to become 3, but the index, it's not like, it wouldn't give you an index out of range, right? Because it's just a number. So it's going to increment, but then this case is going to hit and it's going to print this result append. So it really, it's going to return and it's going to meet your base case. So it's really not, in this case, it wouldn't matter where you have length -1. Okay, everybody. Thank you for staying along and debugging with me. I appreciate it, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. Please reach out to us if you have any questions or any feedback. You can contact me at rafna@womenwhocode.com. Also, stay in touch with our Women Who Code Colorado chapter. I've shared in the chat our Linktree links, so you can connect with all our social media platform through there. I would like to hear the feedback from you about everything that we discussed tonight. And thank you, Cristina, for that awesome tips in the job search. And you know, I don't have that prospect list, so I think I have to have that in my job search. So
I'll send it to you, Rafa.
it was really good. And I have to try that recursive reverse strategy. Yeah, reverse recording strategy. So that's also, I have to try that, and I'll let you know how it went. Thank you, Hadis, for that recursive, how to draw the picture and solving the problem. It was really easy to come in terms with the solution with what we have given in the problem set. So that was really helpful. So yeah, so thank you everyone joining tonight, and let's keep in touch. I think we have shared our LinkedIn profiles and all other contact details. So keep in touch, network a lot, and let us know. Yeah,
your network is your net worth. Seriously.
Yeah. So
Have a good
let
night,
us know. Let us know. How did it go? Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
everyone.